Champions Cup Round 3 Team of the Week. Who are the players that played best in their position out of everyone that represented their club across the 12 games in Round 3? Some big matchups. We had those grudge games. Sharks against Toulouse, La Rochelle against Leinster, Saracens went to Munster, and 9 other games that were really eventful as well. It's not possible for you, I'm sure, to have watched every minute of every game. I've been catching up with as much as I can. I was working on a live game yesterday, which meant travelling to and from Welford Road in Leicester. But in amongst all of that, in amongst seeing the family and my son's birthday yesterday, I've crammed as much as I can in, and as best as I'm able, this is my team of the week. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and give the video a thumbs up and hit subscribe. Some really good performances right across the park, and lots of players that are not going to get mentioned that probably deserve it. But hey, that's, as I say, that's what the comments are for. Number 1, Bevan Rodd, a strange one, because his Sale Sharks team got absolutely pumped. A dominant performance by the Stormers. And yeah, so I was driving to Leicester to work on the evening game last night, and so I was listening to Sale versus Stormers versus Sale. And then I've caught up with as much of it as I can. And one of the biggest takeaways is, even in a losing team, Bevan Rodd, who I had him in my team of the week in round 1, I think. Might have been round 2. But he's been in the team of the week before, and he's in it again, because he did such a job on double World Cup winner Franz Malherbe that Malherbe got a yellow card and got sent off. Things did change a little bit when Neithling Fashir came on, but for that alone, for putting a double World Cup winner in the sin bin, I've gone for Bevan Rodd at loosehead prop. Quentin Lesbiac for La Rochelle. Now, again, a player on the losing team, but again, a player who I thought just did the nuts and bolts, the fundamental job that you want a hooker to do brilliantly. Leinster's line-out creaked. La Rochelle's put the pressure on. He's really busy around the park, bearing in mind they're missing their first and arguably second choice hooker as well. Step up, Quentin Lesbiac. He had a really big game. Number 3, Thomas du Toit, man of the match performance for Bath in a dominant win against Clermont. And this guy is, well, you know what I think about Thomas du Toit if you've been watching the channel for any length of time. I think he's on his way to potentially being the number 1 tight head, the number 1, number 3. But the fact he could be the number 1 in the future is also what is scary. The power, the jackling ability, the ball carrying ability, the fact he always kind of knows where the try line is and manages to get across the whitewash quite a lot. He is sensational and is proving it in the Champions Cup as well as the Premiership. Into the second row and talk about big units. Emmanuel Meafou was just a beast for Toulouse. Another man of the match in the team of the week. And yeah, the number of defenders and the amount of effort it takes from those defenders just to put him to the deck. And he just goes relentlessly, right? He just keeps rumbling on. Got a try to his name as well. And Meafou is a freak. And it's just a shame we didn't get to see him up against Eben Etzebeth in that game. Number 5, partnering Meafou in the second row for my team of the week is Tadhg Beirne, who was talismanic, as he always is for Munster. The engine of this guy is phenomenal. And in a close match that you have to win, who else would you want in your team but Tadhg Beirne? He's just got that top 2 inches, that mentality. He's never, ever giving up. He'll chase every lost cause. He'll hunt for the ball every opportunity, and people just follow him. And it's a big part of the reason why Munster got the win. Just an amazing player. Into the back row, and Francois Cross for Toulouse. One of those guys that just does so much unseen work that quite often doesn't get celebrated. Well, I'm celebrating it here. Abadi for Toulon, I thought, did a really similar job for them. He was massive, just walloping people all over the shop. And there were lots of other players that did jobs like that across the 12 games. You may well disagree with a player, and hey, as I say, that's what the comments are for. I've watched as much of the rugby as I possibly can. Tell me who you really loved the performance of. I thought Francois Cross, whilst there were lots of handling errors, there were lots of things that didn't go to hand, limiting the Sharks at home to just 8 points, big effort from guys like this. Josh van der Fleer again. He's having an absolutely incredible season. He sort of dipped off from the heights he's been at in 21-22, when he was World Player of the Year. He dipped off a little bit from that, 23. He is back at his very, very best. He is putting himself in. If he continues this form, all I say is he's playing as well as he played when he got World Player of the Year. British and Irish Lions year coming up, big Six Nations ahead. This guy is in red hot form. Josh van der Fleer is number 7, and his teammate Caelan Doris completes the pack. And just another great, amazing performance. Those two guys for club and country are different gravy. And this guy, British and Irish Lions test captain in waiting. Could he be the man that is going to lift the trophy for Leinster in the final of this competition? Well, they went a big step towards that with, well, I haven't sealed it yet because there's another round of games to go, but the game away in La Rochelle was the trickiest, and they've navigated that and now should get a very good seeding. That means they could well be having home advantage through the knockouts. That's the pack. Lots of other really, really good performers. Not possible to get them all in. Have got a bench to pick, don't forget, which is why I'm not running through other runners and riders at this point. And hold your fire. If you think there's someone I've missed, maybe they'll appear on the bench. Maxime Lucu at scrum-half. The French scrum-halves in this competition this season are just ridiculous. The number of them, the quality of them. There's no other country on earth that has got the scrum-half talent that France has got. Maxime Lucu, I mean, he may well get back to second in the pecking order, but after November, he was the third choice French scrum-half. And his performance for Bordeaux was just unreal. Over 100 metres running, goal kicking, tactical kicking, assists. Just the guy at the fulcrum of that Bordeaux team that just carved Exeter to shreds. He had an absolutely exceptional game. And at half-back, I've gone for Finn Russell. It was brilliant for Bath. Talk about vision, skill, awareness, bringing players in, the creative spark behind a Bath team that is doing really well and had to win that game at home to Clermont-Auvergne. They've that man, very, very influential, and he's my fly half. There were lots of good fly half performances. Matthew Jalabert for Bordeaux was really good. Andre Pollard's just Andre Pollard for Leicester. Brain fart. Oh, Marnie Libok as well. Might come to him in a little bit. Into the centres then, Sione Tuipulotu, outstanding performance. And I mean, again, talk about people putting themselves in the shop window for British and Irish Lions, not just as a potential starter, as a potential captain with the way that he's leading his country. And if he takes his Glasgow form into the Six Nations, he's on for a brilliant tournament, especially if Glasgow and Scotland can keep both of their centres fit, because Tuipulotu, they just come as a pair and they make each other better. The two of them together are better than the sum of the parts. They're like a little that little yin-yang symbol thing. They just fit beautifully together, and they were a big part of the reason why Glasgow just put Racing 92 to the sword on Friday night to get this weekend's rugby underway. Onto the wings then. Lots of contenders for this. Louis Biel-Biarré was brilliant. Ollie Hassel-Collins and Josh Bassett were great for Leicester Tigers. I mean, so many other contenders for this one. Jack Knoll for La Rochelle was really good. Remy Baget, hat-trick for Castres. And just the skills that he's got. Broken field running. Receiving kick passes and little nudges through, like Dylan Lades did, who'd be another player that's worthy of mention. But Remy Baget was man of the match in the game. Castres against a weakened Bulls side. But when he had the opportunity, he added some class. Damien Penaud, the other one, talk about class. Look no further. He's just outrageous. His meters made, defenders beaten, off the charts, tries again. He's just a complete winger. And big players are stepping up with big performances in this competition. To round off the 15, Freddie Stewart on his 100th appearance for Leicester Tigers. A lot of people have him pigeonholed as an aerial fullback. Maybe he has some weaknesses, turning circle of an oil tanker, that sort of thing. I tell you what, he's been working on his weaknesses, and his attacking play this season has been brilliant. In this competition, yes, he played against the Sharks in the last round and was brilliant there. Not the best opposition. Ulster, depleted, not the strongest that they will be. However, Freddie Stewart, as an attacking force, was quite often the extra man coming into the line, carving Ulster up and feeding the assists. Deserved man of the match on his 100th appearance, and prime position to maybe be England's fullback with George Furbank out. That is the starting 15. Onto the bench. Piatau Mauvaka at hooker. just a busy player. Like I say, lots of inaccuracy from Toulouse. When it clicks, and if it had clicked, I mean, they could have put 4, 5, 6 more tries past the Sharks. Good defence, scrambled defence from the Sharks. Pietro Malvaca is, well, as you'll know if you've been watching the Player Power Ranking series lately, he is the best hooker in the world at the moment, in my humble opinion, and looked like it in moments of that Sharks-Toulouse game, in the humidity and the heat of Durban. Dejan Blula, I should say, a short-term loan signing from the Sharks to Munster, and what a signing he has been. 2 times he is featured in my Team of the Week. He's been brilliant, winning important scrum penalties, scoring an important try. Munster needed Dejan Blula, and he has delivered. And this is the premier club competition in the world. And for a short-term loan signing, just go and make up the numbers in Munster for a bit. Tell you what, they'll be wanting to extend his stay if they can. Dorian Aldegheri, the Toulouse tight head prop. I'm giving him the nod in a similar fashion to I'm giving Bevan Rodd props. Excuse the pun. Giving him props because he managed to just demolish Franz Malherbe. Dorian Aldegheri gave Oxenche a torrid time at scrum time, which is massive. It is interesting, isn't it? You have to wonder, what is it about Rassi Erasmus and maybe his coaching team as well, that Oxenche and Franz Malherbe marmalise anyone and everyone when they play for South Africa in club colours, don't look quite as effective. Dorian Aldegheri at one point had Oxenche off the floor. That's a collector's item you don't see. He laid a really strong platform for Toulouse, giving him the nod there. For Stade Francais, Paul Gabrielague was player of the match and is in at second row. One of the players who's potentially got a French, certainly you'd imagine to have a French squad spot, potential contender to start alongside Thibaut Flamont, or at least be on the bench. I guess Flamont could go on the flank and Gabrielague starting, but certainly a bench spot for someone in the second row is there for the Six Nations. It could be Gabrielague's if he performs like that. Gregory Aldrit on the losing team for La Rochelle, but that matchup was like the best matchup of the weekend for me, man for man. Aldrit against Caelan Doris, 2 of the best number 8s in the world, the 2 best number 8s in my opinion in the Northern Hemisphere, going head to head in club colours, and they both put in sensational performances. I put both of them in my team. The replacement scrum half, Antoine Dupont, more line breaks, more meters. He had 19 tackles in that game. He stayed on the field, even when all of the players looked absolutely gassed, and Toulouse had probably won the game, could have rested their star asset. He wanted to stay on, and I just thought he was great. I have seen some websites, I won't name them, don't want to give them the oxygen of attention, because that might be what they crave, but giving him a really low score for this one. They must have been watching a different game to me, because I thought he was brilliant. And not quite as good as Maxime Lucu was for Bordeaux, but very, very good. Baptiste Saran, probably the unluckiest not to get on the bench as well. Another French scrum half who just tore it up this weekend for Toulon. And Marnie Lebock was just the ability of Marnie Lebock in transition when there's turnover ball and he can just drop the hammer and go, basically is what carved Sale Sharks to shreds. There were other Stormers players who played really, really well and deserved to get in. I'm making sure I get Marnie Lebock in because he is just a difference maker. And Warwick Gallant, he was another, I think there's another, I've spelt it like they spell Warwick in England. It's W-A-R-R. Sorry, Warwick. Apologise for that. I don't apologise for putting him in the 23 though. He was brilliant. And where Marnie Lebock created the opportunities, Warwick Gallant was quite often the guy that would just help him bust the game wide open and shred the Sharks. And it was great to see a South African team not just putting out the best team they can, but actually delivering. And I had Sale Sharks. I thought they might have a narrow victory because I was looking at all the players the Stormers had unavailable. I should have known better. In front of 20-odd thousand, 26,000 I think it was, fans in Cape Town. Great conditions, and they played some brilliant running rugby. And I think one of the things that was most behind Stormers' victory was the fact that they had the most, they doubled Sale Sharks' post-contact meters. So they just won the contact area in attack and defence. And then when you do that, guys like this, can shred you. There you go. That's my 23. As I say, there's lots and lots of players that deserve recognition and credit and a shout. It's impossible to watch all 12 games every minute. I've watched as much as I can, as best as I can, and that's my assessment based on what I've seen and what my gut feeling is. I would love to know yours, but overall, how good was that weekend rugby? How good? There were still some blowout results. I might do a video on this, talking again, reflecting a bit more about the Champions Cup once the pool stage is done. But there was some. It felt like there was more on this one, and it felt like more teams put their strongest side out and really went for it. And credit to all those teams who went away from home and put their very best foot forward and gave it a go, whatever the result was. I thoroughly enjoyed that weekend's rugby. Roll on round 4, and I'll see you on the next video.